From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. Now the campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination is down to just 3 candidates. Senator Tom Harkin is announcing his withdrawal from the race tomorrow. Harkin campaigned as an old-time liberal, but found few people drawn to the message. In all but 3 state contests, he finished far behind the frontrunners. ABC's Cokie Roberts has more.
I'm Tom Harkin, and I'm running for president.
The Iowa senator got into the race as a prairie populist with strong labor union backing, claiming for himself the title of the one true Democrat of 1992.
And I'll make this party win again in this country.
His opponent ceded the first contest in his home state of Iowa to Harkin, but battled hard in New Hampshire, where high unemployment rates might have made his liberal message saleable. Harkin's weak 4th place showing there effectively knocked him out of the running, though he managed to hold on long enough to see victories in Minnesota and Idaho. He needed more than that to keep the campaign contributions coming.
He said that old-time Democratic religion, but it sounded to many voters kind of antique and out of date.
Up-to-date Democrats are choosing more moderate candidates this year. And when voters see Washington as the enemy, it didn't help Tom Harkin to have U.S. Senator in front of his name. Cokie Roberts, ABC News, Washington.
Bill Clinton may gain the most from Harkin's withdrawal, drawing the support of labor and African Americans who may have been inclined to support the Iowa senator. But Clinton has to overcome these latest allegations that surfaced today, that he and his wife may have engaged in an inappropriate business deal. Chris Bury has details.
Governor Clinton tried to keep his eyes on the prize today, the Texas jackpot of delegates in Tuesday's primary. But once more, his campaign got distracted. Today's New York Times raises questions about a real estate deal involving Clinton, his wife Hillary, and an Arkansas developer, James McDougal. In 1978, the Times says they entered a joint venture to develop Ozark vacation property. The deal raises questions, according to the Times, because it claims the Clintons were under little financial risk. And as governor, Clinton was in business with McDougal, who also owned a failing savings and loan, regulated by the state and represented by Hillary Clinton's law firm. This afternoon, Clinton responded.
When I entered this real estate development with Jim McDougal, he was not in the S&L business.
As for the role of Clinton's wife, Hillary,
her law firm represents a lot of clients who have business with the state, but she has never intervened in the substance of any matter relating to state regulation.
In the end, Clinton said he lost more than $25,000 on the venture.
Turned out to be a bad investment, and we lost what was for us a lot of money.
In the acrid political atmosphere, Clinton's opponents wasted no time making hay.
The idea that you're in a business relationship with someone you regulate, I think is an error in judgment.
What it shows is that Bill Clinton thinks he's above the law.
In the critical days before Super Tuesday, Governor Clinton once more is engaged in a juggling act, struggling to get out his message at the same time he practices damage control. Chris Bury, ABC News, Austin.
Clinton's chief rival, Paul Tsongas, has his work cut out for him Super Tuesday, trying to do well on Clinton's home turf, the South. Today, Tsongas was in Nashville, and ABC's Judy Muller was with him.
Tsongas attended a service at a predominantly black church in Nashville this morning. He picked up the endorsement of the pastor, who said he had been impressed with Tsongas after seeing him on television.
I saw someone who was tough but tender.
And as Tsongas helped the children collect their offerings, he picked up another endorsement.
What did you say, young man?
He looks like the president.
He looks like the president, he said.
Tsongas touched a chord with the congregation when he talked about how his battle with cancer had taught him to have purpose in his life.
If we are aspiritual, if God's not part of us, what are we? We live, we eat, we breathe, we die, gone.
For a candidate who concedes he got off to a slow start in the South, Tsongas feels he is finally getting into the swing of things. But speaking on This Week with David Brinkley, he also conceded that his conservative fiscal message is out of sync with his own party.
I'm the agent of change. I'm trying to bring in new economics to the Democratic Party. And the fact is, it's really the machine against the message.
Tsongas says his message is getting through in the South, pointing to a number of newspaper endorsements, including the Tennessean. That may not mean much. He also won newspaper endorsements in Georgia, where Clinton won the vote. Judy Muller, ABC News, Nashville.
As for the Republicans, advisors to President Bush had been hoping they could deliver a knockout punch to Pat Buchanan in the early primaries. But Buchanan has now made it clear no amount of punching will take him out of the race. He believes his underdog challenge is setting the tone of the campaign. ABC's Ann Compton has more.
48 hours before Super Tuesday, President Bush left the campaign trail for the seclusion of Camp David, saying he feels confident because he has campaigned with dignity. But all week he was dogged by indignant complaints about flip-flopping, especially when he stopped defending his broken Read My Lips pledge.
Yes, a mistake.
Challenger Patrick Buchanan declared today he now controls the election year agenda and said that counts more than convention delegates.
I can lose 50 primaries or caucuses to George Bush, but we are winning this national debate and bringing him in our direction, and we're going to fight for the heart and soul of the party at that convention.
Strategists within the GOP agree the Buchanan challenge has robbed the Bush campaign of its effectiveness.
When the campaign was formed, they were on the battlefield. They had to load up guns and start shooting. And there was not a lot of time to sit there and put in place big strategy because you're going to die if you spend too long strategizing.
Damage control, Republicans say, must start next week.
They're going to stop this campaigning, this flopping around the country, charging from one spot to the next with nothing to say. And they're going back to being what he ought to be, and that is to be the president. That's his single greatest asset.
The strategists say there's a danger in this scenario, too. The voters, they say, don't want the status quo. They're looking for change. In fact, they're demanding it. Ann Compton, ABC News, the White House.
There is some voting today. The state of Nevada is holding its Democratic caucuses with just 11% of the vote in. Clinton is tied with uncommitted, each with 16% of the delegates to the state convention. Jerry Brown is next with 8%, followed by Paul Tsongas with 6%. Now, with Tsongas winning the Arizona caucuses yesterday, the Democratic national delegate count looks like this. Clinton leads with 281, followed by Tsongas with 146. Harkin bows out with 113 delegates. Jerry Brown has 50. ABC's political director Hal Bruno is following the latest developments in Campaign 92. Tom Harkin is folding up his tent. What does that do to the campaign?
Well, it's been a two-man race for several weeks now, and it just emphasizes that. Harkin may have been a factor in Michigan, where he had support of the United Auto Workers and Mayor Coleman Young. And that would have helped Paul Tsongas because he would have prevented Bill Clinton from getting some of that black vote and some of the labor vote. But now, with Harkin out, it makes it that much easier for Clinton in Michigan and in Illinois on the same day.
Look ahead now to Super Tuesday. That's a big day.
Super Tuesday is working the way it's supposed to work. It was created 4 years ago to help a Southern candidate, and 4 years ago it backfired. It helped Dukakis and it helped Jesse Jackson. This time it's helping Bill Clinton. There's about 600 delegates coming out of those southern states. And even if he loses Florida to Tsongas or it's close there, Bill Clinton is going to get a majority of those delegates. And that means the delegate count now takes over the campaign. And Clinton's going to come out of Super Tuesday, if things go according to form, with a tremendous lead in delegates going into Illinois and Michigan.
Political Director Hal Bruno. Thank you, Hal. And coming up, a look inside Moscow's black market. And later in the broadcast, how one corporation is opening new doors for unwed mothers. And the New York Mets try once more to become baseball's comeback kids.
World News Sunday, brought to you by the Discover Card.